Okay, so I'm going to read to y'all Chapter 1 of Destruction of the Indies by Bartolome De Las Casas. In this isle, or Chapter 1 of the island Hispaniola, in this isle, which, as we have said, the Spaniards first attempted, the bloody slaughter and destruction of men first began, for they violently forced away women and children to make them slaves, and ill-treated them, consuming and wasting their food, which they had purchased with great sweat, toil, and yet remained dissatisfied too, which every one according to his strength and ability, and that was very inconsiderable, for they provided no other food than that was absolutely necessary to support nature without superfluity, freely bestowed on them, and one individual Spaniard consumed more victuals in one day than would serve to maintain 3 families a month, every one consisting of 10 persons. Now being oppressed by such evil usage and afflicted with such great torments and violent entertainment, they began to understand that such men as those had not their mission from heaven, and therefore some of them concealed their provisions, and others to their wives and children in lurking holes, but some, to avoid the obdurate and dreadful temper of such a nation, sought their refuge on the craggy tops of mountains. For the Spaniards did not only entertain them with cuffs, blows, and wicked cudgelling, but laid violent hands also on the governors of cities, and this arrived at length to that height of temerity and impudence that a certain captain was so audacious as abused the consort of the most puissant king of the whole isle. So I think what he's saying there is raped his wife. From which time they began to consider by what ways and means they might expel the Spaniards out of their country, and immediately took up arms. But good God, what arms do you imagine? Namely such, both offensive and defensive, as resembled reeds, wherewith boys sport with one another, more than manly arms and weapons, which the Spaniards no sooner perceived, but they mounted on generous steeds, well weaponed with lances and swords, began to exercise their bloody butcheries and stratagems, and overrunning their cities and towns, spared no age or sex, nay, not so much as women with children, but ripping up their bellies, tore them alive in pieces. They laid wagers among themselves who should with a sword at one blow cut or divide a man in 2, cut him in half, or which of them should desolate or behead a man, with the greatest dexterity, nay, further, which should sheath his sword in the bowels of a man with the quickest dispatch and expedition. Part 2, coming soon.